What's up, guys? This is Blaze or Chris, whatever you want to call me, whatever's fine. And this is basically just gonna be a video of me talking about like AJATT, what I've been, how my Japanese learning has been going so far, and stuff like that. Um, Basically, I just wanted to make this video because, well, one, similar to the Japan codes video, if you've seen this video, um is not only to log progress, but also just because there aren't a lot of people logging their AJAT progress. I know when I was looking up AJAT videos, when I started really getting into the philosophy of AJAT, there wasn't a lot of them. There was just like Matt versus Japan, and then Brit versus Japan, and there was a few others, but it wasn't really there weren't a lot of people actually like uploading videos about AJAT of like it was like success with AJAT. Um and so that's one of the reasons. And so yeah. So I'm sort of gathering my thoughts. I just kind of wanted to jump in. I have some notes on the side that I'll be referencing in this video. As I basically talk about my progress. This video might be kind of long, and so yeah, I might have like timestamps for like maybe when I'm talking about like before AJAT, after AJAT, something like that. I don't know. We'll see. So I guess first I can start off with like why I wanted to learn Japanese in the first place and how long I've been learning. So the reason why I want initially what really just wanted me the reason why I wanted to learn Japanese is that I was tired of waiting for localizations for video games and light novels and stuff because they just took forever. And I remember there was my favorite game series went on the Kiseki series, like Eiyu Dentetsu Kiseki. Like there were two games in the series at the time that I wanted to start learning Japanese that were not localized. They're getting fan translations now, but even to this day, even now, I still want to play them in Japanese. And those were the two games that everyone who played them said that they were the best ones. Like how like the two best ones are the ones that are not localized. And also light novels, because I remember one of the first translated light novels I read was Utsuro no Hakoto Zero no Maria, and I fell in love with that thing. I would come home from school, finish my homework, and I would just read that. And I finished the seven volumes within like a week or so. And I told a friend about it, and he binge read that too. And I was just like, I really want to read more, but there weren't many translated. They're more getting localized now. It is true, but there are so many that will take forever to come out, and it's such a pain. And as for manga, I mean, reading in English, like I can like it's not bad, but when I started trying to read them in Japanese, I found that I don't know, it was just more fun. Like it was just, and I feel like the manga when you see it in Japanese, it's just a different experience. It's even when you don't fully understand like the actual text, it's just such a more fun thing. And so yeah, that's sort of what made me initially want to start learning Japanese, sort of, and then sort of went into stuff after. But the first time I really actually started trying to learn Japanese was at the end of August. It was at the end of my summer vacation. I found the English to Japanese language exchange Discord and the Nihongo to Eigo Discord. And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking start trying to learn Japanese again. And this time, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to do something every day. Whether it's because at the time I started using the Core 6K 10K Anki deck, and also learn my hiragana katakana again within like a week or so. And then I ended up finding RTK, and I'm doing it now, but at the time I was doing around 15 a day, and I also did lazy kanji, and I didn't know it was lazy kanji at the time because all the pre-made decks were lazy kanji decks. Um, and it was just I really sort of didn't know what I was doing, and I was getting fed up with like not knowing the readings and stuff, and so I dropped it. And it was funny because at this time, I did actually talk to Matt. I didn't really know about his videos and stuff at the time though. I knew he was fluent, but um, because he was confirmed by natives to be fluent in that server, but um I didn't really take his advice with RTK. He was like, "Yeah, you should do RTK because it's basically like learning the alphabet before actually go and read shit." It's like why would you like it wouldn't make sense to like go and read English text without knowing the fucking alphabet. That's basically the same idea with RTK, and I didn't really get that fully. Like I sort of understood it, but at the same time I was like, but I just want to fucking start reading. Like I just want to read. Like it was just that's all I wanted to do. Um. And so, I kept doing the core Anki deck. I did what was it? What was it? I like read some manga here and there. And I did actually like listen to some audiobooks. So there was the audiobook for Katana Gatari. Um I started listening to that when I was out. I didn't listen to it at home, but whenever I was out, like whenever I was like on my commute to school and back, that's like all I listened to at the time because I didn't really know where to look for other audiobooks. And also, I guess it was really just because I was lazy. Because clearly now, since I have like a lot more, like yeah, I was just being lazy. Um, and so um, it was just like I also like use Japanese from Zero's videos. That's sort of how I learned some of my grammar. I did use Takem's grammar guide, but I was using the PDF, and if you've used the PDF, it's really it's kind of overwhelming at first. And also like the verb conjugations and stuff, like because they would always use the ru and u verb like connotations to explain the verb conjugations, but that would confuse me all the time because um because even some ru verbs they end in u either way, so like that just fucked with my head. And then when I watched Japanese from video videos, he just explained them as like, oh yeah, okay, so you have the iru and eru verbs, and then you have the other verbs are just regular verbs, those are the u verbs, and then you have like the few exceptions which you memorize easily. And so that allowed me to sort of get a better grasp on sort of the verb conjugation stuff a lot more easily, so like it didn't like fucking confuse me to death. And then when I went back to take him, it was like, oh yeah, okay, now I get this. And also through his videos I also sort of learned like the counting system, because at the time that was one thing that was bothering me. I was just like, yo, I really want to tell time in Japanese. Like I don't know, it was just weird. And so I watched his videos. I mean, in hindsight, probably wasn't the best thing, but I mean, I feel like because I said I started learning at the end of August, and I started AJATT February 1st. So basically it was like around 4 or 5 months. Those 4 or 5 months, even though there was a lot that I did that I could have done better, I think the experience, like gaining that experience of like sort of failing, I think that's that's also important, because if you start the right way from the beginning, right? You start with the right method and you go on to fluency, like the first try. That's great. That's great for you. But if someone like me who is like sort of doing the wrong method, when you realize that you failed and you realize why it is that you failed and what it is that you need to do to succeed, I feel like that's also a benefit. Like I didn't listen to Matt's advice in terms of RTK, and now here I am 5 months later. I'm fucking like almost halfway through RTK. I'm at let me check here. I believe I'm around 1300 something. Yeah. No wait. Oh no wait. I'm at like 4,000 now. Yeah. No 4,000. 1,400 right now. I'm literally almost halfway there in about a month. In about like, was it? I want to say 40. I said 41 days. 41 days according to Anki. That's because I also did I did 35 a day because I'm fucking crazy. But I will have to say that I did do lazy kanji at first. Even when I went back to RTK, because I just like when I watched Matt's video later that came out more recently when I started AJATT about why you shouldn't learn do lazy kanji, I still didn't completely listen. So I was sort of on the fence, but I kept doing lazy. And 2 weeks after doing lazy kanji, I was just I had 500 cards that I did right with lazy kanji in it was a pre-made deck, and it did have stories in them. But you and I mean, I obviously use the stories Hasek makes at the beginning most of the time, and then after that you sort of go on your own. And I was still at the point where I was just starting to move to making my own stories. And I was sort of using the stories that were just in the deck. And then later now I do start to make my own stories. I only use those pre-made stories for some kanji, and I use them as sort of an outline and then change it up when I need to, because some of these primitives really start getting crazy, and it's not fun. Honestly, for me, it's just whatever helps me remember it. Whatever helps me remember it. If I remember it, if a previous story is so fucking good that I remember it instantly, that's great. And if not, then I make my own. Though I usually make my own first. The only time I don't is when I really struggle, and that only happens for maybe about five. Maybe I want to say between 5 to 8, something like that. If I do 35, if I do 25, it's 5 at the most. So yeah, I was doing 35 a day with lazy kanji, and I had 500 cards, and I had 4 fucking mature cards. I'm not even joking. You 500 cards, and 4 were mature. 4. What? And so I was like, you know what? I'm not about to, restart a deck, because I mean, I could have, but I don't like restarting, because 1, I don't like losing progress, and 2, it would just make the process a lot more frustrating, because the thing is, I want to get out of RTK as soon as possible. I mean, of course, even when I finish all the cards, I'm still gonna have to review them. But reviewing is really is not as bad as having to go through the actual book, the actual new cards, make the stories, and then do them on Anki. You say if you just do reviews, there's a lot of time that you have free to do other things, to do more immersion, and even now playing it's playing through my phone because I don't have an MP3 player, but I'm gonna try to get one of those, and I'll probably talk about it later, why you should get a separate device for playing the audio. But yeah, when I basically just took the deck I had that had late kanji, and I deleted the section that put the kanji on the front, and I just had where the stroker and stuff is on the back. I just left that there, and I just moved the story, and the story was already in the back. So basically, I took off the kanji on the front of the page, and I put the keyword there. I put the little code for the keyword in the front, and then the kanji and story on the back, and I just modified the deck that way, and it worked, which is awesome for me, because I didn't want to make another deck. That would have sucked. And I started doing the traditional method. I just took off an entire week, and I just did reviews. I just did reviews so that I could, all those kanji I did were lazy kanji, I can review them and start doing them the traditional method, and really start pounding them into my head so that I can remember them, and write them out by hand. Because when you do lazy kanji, you'll just feel it. You just feel like, I don't need to fucking write by hand. I don't need to do that shit. And when you do the traditional method, you don't think that, because until you write it, you won't be sure if it's right. You won't be sure if you had it right until you write it. And so that's another benefit in the traditional RTK method. And also, it's just if you write it out and you get it right, you're like, wow, okay, now I can actually like write this kanji from memory. Like that's awesome. Like that's, I did, people always talking about how like, oh, kanji's so hard, writing it by, memory is so hard. But it's like, but now you're starting to do that, and it's a really rewarding feeling, even though immediately, it gets really tedious, you know. It's a really awesome thing. It's like you feel yourself actually making progress, and you're like, maybe right now I'm not like doing real Japanese aside from, maybe probably listening, because you're just gonna spend a lot of time with RTK. Probably gonna spend most of your time listening. It's like, once you get out of RTK, then you just then you really start your Japanese journey, and you're prepared. Like you're not like just jumping in like the way I did when I first started. Because the reason why I just jumped in when I first started learning Japanese, it was because like I just knew I wanted to learn Japanese, and I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to put myself in a position where I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stop learning Japanese, because I knew that I really wanted to learn it, but I was scared that I was gonna quit, because I knew myself at the time to be someone who like I can get discouraged, and then I would just be like, you know what, this isn't worth it, and then I'll quit. But I was like, I really did want to learn Japanese. There was so I knew I would regret it if I didn't learn Japanese. I knew I would regret it in the future if I didn't learn it. I just knew I would. There would be so much I would be missing out on, especially me as a fucking otaku, where most of my hobbies and most of my interests concern Japanese media. If I don't learn Japanese, I'm going to regret it. And especially, I'm 16 right now, junior in high school. And if I start now, by the time in my 20s, I can be at a high level, and actually be able to just enjoy Japanese for what it is. I mean, of course, you need to enjoy the journey, right? You need to enjoy actually learning Japanese. Like your goal isn't like, your end goal is to be fluent and then eventually near native level, especially if you're doing AJATT. But you do also need to enjoy the journey. You need to enjoy learning Japanese. A lot of people, and this was including myself prior to AJATT, is that you want to be fluent, but you don't want to learn. Right? Those are two different things. Because what people want is they want the result, and not what they want is the result, and not, they don't want to go through the process. And that's eventually what leads people to fail. Because you do this thing where and this is based off my own experience, where like you're doing a little bit of studying every day, and then you're like whether it's video games or whatever, like me, you buy them in English. Even like Japanese localized games, you like buy them in English, and or manga, light novels, or whatever. And you're like, yeah, later on when my Japanese improves, I'll start reading this in Japanese. That's not how it fucking works. And I couldn't freaking, my dumbass didn't want to get that through his thick skull at the time. And it was just like, I was just like I bought Gravity Rush 2, I bought Yakuza Zero Kiwami, and I was just like, because they were on sale. But then come February 1st, I was like, am I gonna keep doing this shit? Am I gonna keep doing this? Where I'm just gonna keep buying these games in English and be like, oh yeah, later when my Japanese improves, I'll just play them. Like when the fuck is my Japanese gonna improve? By playing games in English? No, the only thing's gonna make you improve is by doing shit in Japanese. You only get better at the language by doing the language. Like I'm bilingual. I speak English and Spanish. My Spanish has degraded like all hell because I mostly speak it at home. I don't really speak it outside. And I haven't been to the Dominican Republic in forever. But if I went to the DR, if I went to the DR, or any Spanish speaking country for that matter, and I spent like a month there, my Spanish would fucking skyrocket. I would come back to the US and my parents would just be like, what happened to you? Your Spanish is so much better. It's so much better than before. And that's because of all the time I would have had to spend with the Spanish language. Like, of course, like part of the reason why I have trouble with Spanish is actually because of how Dominicans speak, and then versus how it's actually like even written. And just a lot of Spanish-speaking countries, like they have like the little own things that they do with the language. That's part of it. But overall, it's just really just because I haven't been immersed in as much Spanish. If I basically did AJAT with Spanish for a while, like a month or two, my Spanish would be at where it should be currently. And that's only because I'm a native speaker of Spanish. So yeah. Spanish is my first language, but my English is better because I spend more time with English. But that's also part of the reason why I really believe in AJAT. Because it's true. You only get better, by immersing yourself in the language, and basically AJAT is taking that to the most extreme of lengths as possible, to the point where if you can sleep with the music playing, well, not music, but an audiobook playing something, do that shit. Because I do that. I go to bed, I put like my phone by me, and I leave an audiobook playing during the night. It's to the point where I can hear it, but also to the point where I can fall asleep. And even if there's theories about learning in your sleep where there's still theories. Most of it's that it doesn't work. However, the benefit of doing that is, if you wake up in the middle of the night or something like that, you're immediately being immersed in Japanese. That is the first thing that you hear when you wake up to go to school. Japanese is the first thing you hear. And like, it's not like you have to go and get your phone. I was like, oh, and I have to put on Japanese. No, it's already on. And so all you gotta do is plug in your headphones, get ready and go. And I've been doing this, over a month now. It's March 11th currently, and I started February 1st. So I mean, it's been working good. And I know I'm sort of going all over the place a little bit and not really in order, but I hope you guys aren't turned off by that. I'm sorry. It's just really learning Japanese, really just immersion and having the mindset that you want to learn. It's not that you just want to be fluent, So I've already gone over like why I sort of chose AJAT, why I believe in it. If you want specifically this the little nuances of AJAT and the full philosophy of AJAT, I'd make sure to try to remember to link the table of contents for AJAT below. And actually, another thing, Anti-Moon. Anti-Moon was a site made by English speakers to but not English speakers, Polish guys. They're learning English, and they basically did AJAT except with English, and they were successful. If you look at the page and you see how it's written, it is written in perfect English. And they give examples of how this immersion process works and why it works. And I'll make sure to try and link that below too, so that you guys can check it out for any people who are skeptical about AJAT or something like that. And I know some of you watching this also, people also in Matt vs Japan's Discord, you just want to see, how us AJATers got here. Yeah, I feel a little bad for making this lengthy video and for it being a little how do I say, being a little all over the place. But, no, I guess maybe I can go over how Matt vs Japan's videos helped me. Well, for one is just like the various methods of doing immersion with AJAT. And I feel also like this is something that, cause this is something that's a little weird, might be a little weird, but just how blunt he is and how straightforward he is with like with his words when he's talking about AJAT and stuff. And like, if he's like says that like, okay, you're like, if he says, okay, I'm right and you're wrong, right? He will explain why. He will give logical reasons why, and there would be like some evidence to support that. And and that made me trust him more, because it's one thing to have an argument about theory, and it's another thing to have an argument about something that you have experience doing, something that you researched. Because he's been actually, like, he's taken the time to actually, like, sort of like research to learn about language acquisition, and then he has his own experience learning Japanese to a fluent level. And that's also why, I usually take his advice, because he has experience, and he has knowledge. And this is also why you don't want to be on, like, fucking Reddit of any language, because anyone who goes on sites like that to just talk about learning the language don't actually know shit. They've probably been there for like over 5-10 years talking about how to learn the language instead of actually fucking learning it. And so, a lot of people fall into that trap where they talk about learning the language and don't actually do it, and it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. I almost fell into that. I've failed in so many ways. But it's because of that also that I'm, back on track. You know, like I'm just checking my notes for sort of what to talk about. Guess I can talk about some other things I did that made me fail. One, it was actually there's something Matt mentioned in his recent video with about what he did about memory kanji with the in context approach. Oh boy, is he so right, because I started reading a lot of manga. I didn't take his advice for RTK. I started reading like manga and stuff, and what would happen is that there would be like these words, this kanji, and I'd see them often when Furigana. It's like, okay, like I've seen them so many times, like I should remember it, right? I go somewhere else and I see it and I can't fucking remember. Like, it was so frustrating. Like, what it feels like to just see like a character in the same word, mind you, like 15 times, and then you see someone else and you can't remember it. Are you serious? The fuck? Like, that's crazy. Like, how do you see a word so many times but you can't even remember it? And it's not like it's like like 2 weeks or something after. It's like, maybe even the same day. And it's just like, what am I doing? And this is part of the thing that drew me back to remembering the kanji. It would eventually drew me to AJATT. Because I feel like oftentimes what happens with, I think this has happened with a lot of people with AJATT, is like it's something that they knew of, or even RTK, something that they knew of. They didn't really take it to heart the first time, but when they did take it to heart, including myself, is when they failed, when they fucked up, when they did something and they were like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. And then you go to the people who did succeed in learning Japanese, and you take their advice, right? People who have been confirmed fluent by native speakers, go to them for advice. And like I said before, it's something that sometimes you need to fail to succeed. That the saying, success comes from failure. It has a lot of truth, because when you fail, like I said before, you just realize what you did wrong, and you just keep moving. So yeah. So now, I guess I can sort of talk a little bit more about the immersion process. So as I'm doing, since I do a lot of RTK, I might be dropping. There's been a lot because I'm in junior year of high school, and I'm really busy. There's a lot of stuff I have to do. There's stuff concerning internships, applying for internships, and the paid internships, mind you. I ain't doing no free ones, because part of the money I get for the internships, obviously, not only for material stuff I might need, for college, but also for learning Japanese. And so, I mean, it might suck that I have less time to spend with Japanese if I do like a summer internship. However, you know, if I make more, you know, the money I make off of it, I can put more use that money to, you know, get more Japanese resources, like whether it's games, you know, like maybe manga, light novels, maybe some, you know, other stuff that, you know, might help me learn Japanese, like, you know, like a laptop and an iPad, because, you know, iPad with Aozora Bunko and stuff like that. You know, a laptop, because if I like either go abroad or if I just go away, you know, so that I have a computer with me, you know, like extra hard drives and stuff for saving a lot of like Japanese related content, stuff like that. So yeah, and it's just recently there's just been a lot of stuff, even just when I was doing some extracurriculars. I was in the middle of extracurriculars when I started AJATT, and you know, it started getting really frustrating because all I want to do is Japanese. But hopefully those are gonna be starting to end. You know, by this week, it should be over, hopefully. And then I'm hoping that I won't have too many extra things to do like outside of my classes. Because I really just want to spend time with Japanese. I really want to get good at Japanese, and I also want to get through RTK as quickly as possible. Just because, you know, I really want to just start binge reading shit like that. But you know, I have to get through RTK because, you know, I need to do all the kanji. And one thing, actually, I forgot to mention this. Anyone watching this, let me know if this has happened to you with doing RTK the traditional way. But does this ever happen to where, like, when you're doing your reviews, right, you get the keyword to the kanji, right, and you do it easily fine, but then when you actually see the kanji in like an actual, in like when you're reading something, like you can't remember like the meaning, but you know that you know how to write it. Like you're absolutely sure, like you know for a fact that you can write it because you've written it before, but you just can't remember the meaning for it. I don't know if that's happened to any of you guys. I don't know if that's a feature. I know it's a feature to, like, you know, eventually forget the stories and just remember the kanji directly. The stories just are like sort of like a bridge. It's just like you have the keyword and then the story is a bridge to the kanji, and then as that kanji becomes more familiar, that bridge starts closing up until it's like just like that, and it's just like keyword kanji, and that's it. So yeah, maybe it's a feature, maybe it's not. Most important, but either way, it's like even when I see kanji now, I like start breaking it down really quickly, thanks to RTK. And you know, that was one of the things I also wanted to get out of it. Like RTK makes the kanji not look like squiggly lines anymore. You become much more familiar with it, and that's something that's really important. Because when it's just not being familiar with kanji, it just really sucks. It really does. It's not fun at all. And so, you know, yeah, basically how it is with that. Now, I got off track. I do this all the time. I am so sorry. So sort of now going a little more back to the immersion thing. You know, you want to be listening all the time. Hell, I, you know, find ways to listen even during classes. Though I'm not gonna go through all that, because, you know, in the case of, you know, someone from my school or something like that found this video, I'd be screwed. What? So yeah, I'm not gonna go into that. But you know, whatever you listen to whenever you can. If there's a place where you're really not allowed, or it's a really huge risk to use headphones or some earphones or something like that, like just don't try to aid it as much as possible and get creative, you know, to be able to do it even in places that you can't. But if it's too much of a risk, like if you have a job or something and you could that's something that could really screw you over, like don't take the risk, okay? Like, you know, AJATT, but you know, you still have your responsibilities, and you know, it's just during every free moment, immerse. Every free moment, do something in Japanese. Listen to Japanese. Read like some manga or something like that. Browse Japanese websites, even if you don't understand jack shit. Just get away as far away as English as you can. Just that's basically what you want to do. Get all those English websites that you know, like with like whatever gaming stuff or whatever that you might have bookmarked. Delete those bookmarks and replace them with Japanese ones. Just stuff like that. Like, get rid of as much English as you can from your life. You know, or whatever your native language is, even if it's not English. You know, of course you still have your family there and stuff, but friends, but you're gonna be putting them a little more to the side. Your friends more so than your family, because you know your family. You know, I mean, you know. Luckily, my parents actually really, you know, understand the AJATT method because they're also non-native English speakers. That, you know, Spanish is their first language, and so they really understand the idea behind AJATT because that's sort of how they learned English. That's how you know they were forced to learn English. You know, when they came to the U.S., and so that's why they understand what I'm doing with my headphones and stuff. But you know, you might need to push your family a little bit to the side, and you know. Bring in some more Japanese. And anyways, even like school friends, it's just like they're mostly just classmates. Like the people that I can consider my friends are gonna be counted on one hand, anyways. Even then, they know I don't really like talking to people, anyways. So I just do RTK. You know, in the morning before class if I'm not too tired. During lunch. I try to do it on the train whenever I can. So I have less reviews when I get home, so that I can finish reviews, go through the next couple kanji in the book, and then just be done. And you know, obviously, Anki, then be done. So yeah, always have not only back to the stuff I mentioned, like replace your English Japanese. You also just want to keep these Japanese things open at all times. It's like if you have manga on your computer or something like that, or just websites or Japanese websites, have them open if you can. Like, you know, if it's not gonna like eat your RAM or whatever, have them open all the time. And I really mean that. The reason why I think that the reason why I say this is because, especially at this beginning stage, you really go back to this English stuff unconsciously. You don't even realize it at first. And having the Japanese sites open, it's just like, oh yeah, well this Japanese site is open, I'm learning Japanese, so I just go onto this Japanese site, right? It's just because it's already there, it's already open. So you're like, okay, let me just browse through this. Like if you're just bored, don't know what to do, you just start browsing things. You may not understand jack shit, but you're scrolling through a bunch of Japanese stuff, and then you know it's still in Japanese, right? It's not in English, and that's the goal here. You know, I always have like a manga open, you know, some Japanese websites open and stuff like that at all times. Literally every time my computer's on, I always have stuff like that open, so that I don't start swiveling over to English. Other thing, social media, because you know, I know a lot of us are addicted to social media. On your desktop, log out of your account on social media, like Twitter, Facebook. Just log out. Trust me, because because what happens is that when you're always logged in, you know, for Twitter, you just hit Command T, what is it, Control T for a tab, hit T, and you're on Twitter, right? You're on Twitter instantly. And you get all this English stuff, right? You log out, and then you do that same thing. You'll see, oh yeah, I'm logged out. I should be doing something in Japanese. That's what happened, right? And you start becoming more aware of how you're still like going back to English unconsciously. Even though you want to do something in Japanese, you still lean back to English because it's something you can more easily understand. That's why you lean towards it. But that's not what you want to do if you really want to get better Japanese. Also, on your mobile devices, on your phones, delete all of the social media stuff that you have on your phone. Whether you have Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. And if it's in English, delete it. Just delete it. Just delete it. Trust me. when I still had Twitter on my phone, when I started up RTK again, I was still opening Twitter. Like time to time, I just opened Twitter. And like once I deleted it, like every time I go there and like go to open Twitter, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to go and open Anki and start doing my reviews. It worked. Because now the only thing I can do on my phone when I go on it is just go and do Anki. Because that's what's there. You know, I don't have the social media to distract me. It's just Anki there. So I just open Anki and I start doing my shit. And it really works. If you want to, you can even delete Discord from your phone. I haven't done that. But because, you know, I check the Discord sometimes for like questions and stuff. You know, if I can't do RTK at a given moment, because you know when I do RTK, I have to like, you know, sit down with a notebook and write it out. So I just like check. Oh yeah, because like if someone asks a question and then maybe something that I was wondering about too, like I'll check for the answers as well. In Matt's Discord. And by the way, Matt's Discord is just a place for like to ask questions, maybe put updates. It's not like a place to sit down and chat, because the whole point is to AJATT, and everyone will remind you like if you start getting into a conversation to just go and do something. It's like just honestly, like people who are like hating on RTK, hating on AJATT all the time, just ignore those. You know, just ignore those people and just continue doing your thing. Just keep immersing yourself in Japanese, because you know what? Those people that keep arguing all the time about language and stuff like that, about Japanese and stuff, they're not getting anything done. They're not getting any better at Japanese. They're just sitting down, you know, in front of the table, and like, yeah, I want to be fluent, but I don't want to do the work, so I'm just gonna keep talking about it. And then you'll get nowhere. Yeah, and like, oh my god, man. I'm honestly, you know, really glad that I found AJATT. It's something that I really needed. Okay, it was something I really needed because I understood the idea of immersion, like to where you need to do Japanese to get better at Japanese, because there's no other way. Simply no other way. And you know, AJATT really solidified that, you know, belief. And it was just the idea also where you can just have fun, even when you're still a shitty beginner, you can still have fun. That was something that Katsumoto really emphasized. I think he emphasized a little too much, because I feel like if you really wanted to get truly really good at a language, you're still gonna have to go through some suffering. Like RTK, that shit is suffering. I can do it. Like, it's not like I hate it, but it's definitely not very fun. It's not the most fun thing, at least in my opinion. For other people, it may be really fun, and that's great. That's great. That's better for you, you know. But yeah, you know, finding AJATT, it was just really an eye opener for me. You know, because I really do honestly want to learn Japanese. I think it's such a beautiful language. I actually really do like kanji. I just hate learning it sometimes because it's a pain in the ass. But I really do like kanji. I just like how the language sounds. I really do. I really just love Japanese. It's not just about being able to use Japanese as a tool to be able to get to access to a lot of entertainment. It's like, wow, I actually really like Japanese. Just watching anime, in Japanese, with or without Japanese subtitles, because sometimes I can't get the subs, so I just watch it just raw, you know, without the Japanese subtitles, of course. You know, it was a very when I started doing it, it was a really different experience. Like, when I realized how much I can learn from even just anime, like anyone who tells you can't learn from anime is bullshitting, because there are so many people that I know, so many people who I know personally, who learn English through video games and shows, and they got really good at English through that. So don't like come tell me that anime isn't useful at all, or that it isn't real Japanese that people use. The language is not the entire language is not something that everyone uses. The language is just the language. And that's not gonna make it any different. Like just because you know, like people don't like people don't say certain shit doesn't mean that it's not useful. Like here, baseline is that if you don't understand it completely, it is still useful to you. If you don't understand it 100%, that means that that you can still use it to improve. Once you understand it 100%, then you know use to something as like a relaxed time, and then you do something else that's you know that starts pushing you even further. Um, because like I wouldn't tell someone to like even me, I wouldn't tell someone to like not watch Family Guy if they're learning English. Like go fucking like I mean I don't watch Family Guy, but let's say someone else does, right? Like loves watching it, right? It's English, right? It's not, you know, great English, right? But it's English. And if it's helping you understand English better, that's great. And you're having fun, it's just great. Just do it. Like if it's what's helping you improve and you're loving it and it's making you want to learn the language even more and even helping you get through the tougher parts, that's great. Like just keep doing it. Because what's gonna happen is that you're eventually gonna find many other things, just so much more content to consume, and you won't feel like, oh yeah, but maybe this isn't as great, man. If you don't fully understand it, just go. So that even when you do fully understand it, if it's fun, just keep doing it anyways, because then now it's just like sort of like review for you, and you keep the language fresh in your head. Like in the end, the language is the language. That's not gonna change. Japanese is Japanese. There are different types of Japanese, but in the end, Japanese is Japanese, right? Like, for example, me, you know, I have sort of I've been trying to like not do it as much, but like I have sort of like a ghetto way of talking because I grew up with a lot of people who you know are not from the best neighborhoods. Even me, because I live in New York City, I live like in the Bronx. It's like, you know, but that doesn't mean I can't like speak like more formally. It doesn't mean that I can't understand more formal stuff. It doesn't mean like I wouldn't be able to understand like you know like a southern accent, which is very different, right? You know I may you know other accents, you know like a British accent, something like that. I don't use that, right? But I can understand it just fine, right? And the language really, and this is what AJATT promotes, is just being able to understand it before before you output, you know, input before output. And if you think about it, it makes sense because there'll be people that'll tell me like, you know, you're better off just instead of watching anime, you're better off just talking to people or something. If you talk to people and you can't and you know and like they say something to you, but then they have to explain it in your native language, what are you gaining from that? Like honestly, like really, like you're just having conversation and then you're spending like more than half the conversation in the native language. Like that makes no sense. Just go and get to a point to where you can understand a lot of that language and then start trying to communicate with people. Because then you'll be able to understand them and then you'll be able to start practicing your output and you know get it corrected as much as possible. And even then like since you've heard the correct way so many times, it won't come out like a filthy gaijin sort of thing. You know, it'll just be practiced like the sort of like the muscle movements to be able to get your like your pronunciation on. Pitch accent something that you're gonna have to like actually like actively study to really get that perfected. But that's something even by choice. If you want to get near native, that's something you have to do. But if you don't really care about that, and you just care more about just being pretty good at Japanese and being able to understand pretty much almost anything, then it's still just you know Japanese is it's a journey. You know, it's a journey that once you start and you decide to keep going, it's something you're gonna keep doing for the rest of your life. You're still gonna even when you're fluent, there are plenty of things that you don't know. Even when you're near native, there are plenty of things that you don't know, and you still have to learn. Even native English speakers like myself, there are so many words like that I don't know, right? You know, I can use all the context to understand a lot of stuff, but you know, there are a lot of things I don't know. You know, even though it's my native language, like there's so many things I'll just see, right? Even just like I see, I don't even know the words for this, but even like stuff that holds up bridges and shit like that. the sort of like pill like structures and other things for like even just in like building stuff, like all the little things that I used to build buildings. And I wouldn't be able to name all the name everything for all that. That's sort of like a more specialized subject for people who actually go and like build, or architects. So there's of course that, and if anything, with Japanese, there's that one saying that's always stuck in my head is a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And for Japanese especially, that really struck with me. Like that phrase, just when I started learning Japanese, that was like one of the first things I thought of. Like, this journey is gonna be something that you're gonna trip, sometimes you can fall, sometimes you're gonna be sad, sometimes you're gonna be happy, sometimes it's gonna be suffering, sometimes it's gonna be just pleasure. But if you don't keep walking down that road, if you don't keep walking and trying to find the correct path, and the way to reach the end of those 1,000 miles on foot, if you don't keep trying to find the way to your destination, you will never reach it. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's all for me. I guess sorry that my webcam just kind of asked, but I just felt like I had to sit down with the camera on. Originally, I wasn't gonna do this, but I just felt like I had to like sit down. Actually have a camera on me, and I just gotta be real. Just to be real with my experiences and what I think. AJATT's really saved me in a lot of ways. I even thanks to Matt's recommendation, I'm gonna start reading this. It just got in the mail yesterday. The Mind Illuminated by Kuladasa. And hopefully, start my meditation journey soon. Maybe I'll, post more updates about that later on, but since I haven't started it completely yet, I've only read a little bit of it this morning. Later on, probably like, post updates about that. So yeah, that's I guess that'll be all for me for now. Maybe you can expect another video, say maybe within the next 2 to 3 months. I'll probably make the next one when I actually finish going through RTK 1 and 3. Not when I have all my cards mature on Anki, but when I actually finish going through all of it and just have reviews left. At that point, that's probably when I'll make my next video. And then of course like a 6-month update, because that I feel like 6 months really important. And then maybe after that, I don't know if I'll do an 8-month, but I do know I'll definitely do a 12-month like that. So yeah, I'm just gonna try to really kick up my immersion a lot more. There are a lot of things that have been getting in the way, and that's something I can't control. But all the other free time I have, I am trying to immerse more. I got some games and stuff. Like I bought Sin no Kiseki Kai, this game that I played before in English, but now I'm replaying it and stuff like that, and I love it to death. I don't mind replaying it, and in Japanese, it's just it's a real different experience. So yeah, I'm just gonna let's keep AJATTing. Keep trying, walking down this road of Japanese. Trying to improve every day. And so I guess I'll, just end it off here. And yeah, I'll see you guys.